Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'm probably dropping this video just a few hours before week 3 of the Overture chapter of Tides of War goes live. Unless I of course change my mind when I do it, but basically, according to DICE, the challenges will be available to complete tomorrow, the 20th of December, so that could mean within the next few hours or so, unless I've posted it when it's already live. Yeah, I know, nice and concise. Anyway, this guide gives you a head start on working out how to go about unlocking the weapon reward, the Selbstlader 1906. Not the 1916 that you're seeing some of the footage today, that's just coincidental. So if this is early, you can watch now and come back to it, checking anything you need when you're actually doing the challenges, or if it's on time, then great. And before anyone says what they said last week, who needs a guide for this, blah 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 blah, well, some people did and do, so just chill. It doesn't hurt you if they want a guide. So these are my tips for unlocking the Selbstlader 1906 fast. Let's get right into it. As with the previous weeks, you have to progress through a challenge tree, and you can do this in whichever way you wish, as long as you complete the necessary challenges for each branch. Now, if any of the challenges are bugged again this week, then once again, I'm sorry, but I don't have any tips for that, other than be patient and hope DICE fix it, and keep looking up on the forums if anyone has a solution. So the first challenge is Frail structure, which requires you to deal 200 damage to vehicles. Now, this section is essentially going to go over very similar stuff to a couple of other later ones as well, so keep what I say here in mind. Pick a mode that has vehicles, obviously, conquests, etc. My mode of choice is frontlines, and works well for this kind of challenge. There are usually 2 or 3 tanks in play at any one time for both teams, and the structure of this game mode makes it pretty simple to know where to look for them, because the flags are generally just in a row, and you can work out which direction the tanks are going to come from based on who's got which flag. Plus, it's only 16 players per team, so there's ample opportunity for you to be the one dealing damage to vehicles if you so wish. Now, personally, I go for the assault class, as it's pretty much designed around combating vehicles, although you can use support and utilize the AT mines, AT grenade pistol, and or the sticky grenade. But for assault, the one I recommend, you can either sneak up and sticky dynamite the vehicle before then using the Piat or Panzerfaust, or do it the other way around and attack with your rockets first from range, before then trying to approach from a different angle to finish it off with your dynamite, etc. But basically, you can attack from near or far without having to do anything too dangerous if you don't wish to. And you can even run the anti-tank bundle grenade for extra damage if you wish. Plus, the vehicle buster combat roll also spots vehicles for your team when you damage them, and gains you bonus requisition points for destroying vehicles if you want some extra incentives whilst doing this challenge. With that challenge completed, you now have a choice of 3 paths. We'll take the top one first, where you have to complete 3 challenges. Challenge 1 is AT infantry, which requires you to deal 200 damage to vehicles using assault equipment. Honestly, just do what I literally just explained for the previous challenge. Then we have Trouble Ahead, which requires you to spot 5 enemy vehicles using recon equipment. The easiest way to do this is use the spotting scope, as it has infinite uses and can be used from any range, so you can stay out of danger. Select a mode with vehicles in it and simply look at enemy tanks, etc. So simple. Again, I choose frontlines as it's pretty easy to work out where to look, but you could do something like Conquest, where there might be more vehicles to spot, although they may be harder to find. Then, as the third challenge for this branch, we have Frontier Maintenance, which requires you to repair 100 vehicle damage as support. My main tip is to make sure you have the Engineer combat role selected, as it allows you to repair vehicles faster. Beyond that, simply stand on the other side of the vehicle to the enemy, allowing you to use it as cover, and it's even easier to pull this off if you have a friend who can put down smoke for you. I'm not sure at this point if damaging vehicles yourself and then repairing them works, as the challenge isn't yet live and DICE sometimes do think of this stuff, but it might be worth trying to see if it's an easy way to get this completed. If not, then just do it the normal way. But if you'd rather not take that branch, then you have the choice of 2 other challenges. The first one being Air Superiority, which requires you to deal 500 damage in an airplane. Now look, I'm not a pilot, not at all, so just get in a plane and do some damage. Maybe select the Ju-88 bomber and just drop bombs on high traffic areas. There's not many tips for this anyway, just grab a plane and do damage. Or you can do the challenge on the bottom branch, Bird Hunt, which requires you to deal 100 damage to airplanes. I assume this is going to allow any kind of damage to them. If so, grab an anti-aircraft gun and it's going to be pretty easy. Otherwise, you can try to take them out with a Panzerfaust or Piat, or another vehicle such as the Flank Panzer, or maybe even another plane. Once you completed one of those 2 challenges, you're going through the middle branch further with Vehicular, yep, they spelt it wrong, Vehicular Dominance, which requires you to capture 1 objective in a vehicle. So other than simply rolling onto a flag in a tank and using your armor to withstand damage whilst you take it, you can of course just try to spawn in near the start of the game and drive to one of the flags close by for a pretty easy cap. Obviously there's tanks, but you can use one of the lighter vehicles if you wish to get them more quickly, like the Staghound armored car. Moving Moving on, we have single sight, which requires you to kill an enemy from 50 meters while in a vehicle. And I mean, what do you really want from me here? Just fire at someone a bit of a distance away whilst in a vehicle. Maybe sit outside a flag and shoot at it as the enemy approach it or sit on it. Nice and simple. And by this point, we're nearly finished. Next up, it's a choice of 2 challenges again. The first is perfect placement, which requires you to damage a vehicle with anti-tank mines. These are for the support class. You can obviously just drop them in a lane where a vehicle is likely to pass through, perhaps outside the enemy spawn. But what's much easier for me is to simply run up to a vehicle, throw the mines down for it to drive over, or just shoot the mines with your weapon. This should work unless dice have stopped you from doing it for this challenge for some reason, but if not, it's really simple. You'll get it done pretty quickly. Hey, I'm just adding this in during the edit, and having gone into a game now just to try it out, I've actually done the thing where you put the mine down and shot it and paid attention to the kill feed, and it shows the weapon, not the mine, so that actually might not work at all. Keep that in mind. You may really just have to do it the normal way. Okay, cool, back to the video. Or you can go for Armored Might, which requires you to call in 1 reinforcement vehicle as a squad. So pick a mode that allows for vehicle reinforcements, such as Conquest. If you're playing alone, get into a squad with other people in it, preferably a squad that is doing well. You can switch to another squad if you need to. Now play the objective. Play with friends if possible, of course. Make sure you're marking objectives if you're the squad leader. If you aren't the squad leader, then request orders if the squad leader isn't marking things. And overall, you should be able to call a vehicle in eventually without much issue. Just focus on doing things that get you points. There's then a bonus challenge that you don't need to complete at all, but it will get you extra chapter XP if you do. It's called Road Rage, and it requires you to get a road kill. This might be easier in a lighter, faster vehicle, such as the Staghound I mentioned earlier, but yeah, just drive over a camper or something, or take advantage of there being like really poor sound in the game. People might not even hear you coming. And the final challenge is Mechanized Brawl, which requires you to destroy 1 tank. Simply do what I suggested for the very first challenge. Disabling parts certainly makes it easier, as does playing with friends and all working to help each other to complete this together. Tanks are easy work for a group of assaults and supports that know what they're doing and communicate. And if you've gone through those branches, then you now have the Selbstlader 1906 self-loading rifle. Congratulations. If it doesn't automatically appear in your company, make sure you go to your armory to check if you need to get it from there. I don't know why DICE put that in, but still, it's there as a pointer. And I hope this guide helps you out. I'll be producing another one for next week's unlock as well, so hit the like button if you enjoyed and want to see that. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with the content, and feel free to join my Discord server in the description and my pinned comment. Here's the Board of Awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. It genuinely means a lot to me, so thank you so very much to everybody on here. If you want to be one of the people on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.